Okay, quick disclaimer. I hate disclaimers, but have to do it just for legal reasons. This upgrade that I'm about to show you is to be done totally at your own risk. I'm not responsible for you breaking any of your own crap. This is my board. I am doing this at my own risk. Nobody has shown me how to do this. I'm just doing it because I want to do it, and I'm making this video for educational purposes. Okay, so don't try this at home. Alright, this is the very elusive Dante expansion card. This is the 64x64 made for the wing. And what we're going to do is, normally this card would be put into the expansion slot on the bottom or the back of the card, or the back of the board. There is a slot internally in this board to allow you to take the Brooklyn 2 card out of this and put it into this. Now, why would you want to do that? First of all, you would want to do that because the Behringer wing comes with a SD card recorder, and I really like the SD card recorder, and I would like to retain the recorder and not have to record to a laptop or something like that. So moving forward, we're going to put this back in at the end. So the first thing that you want to do here is, if you look here, this is just kind of like laptop memory. There's two little tabs here that you have to pull out. So you take your thumbs or fingers or whatever appendages you have, and you will pop it out like that, and the card will flip up like this. See how it's springy? So you take that out, and this is the Dante card. This is just kind of a holder with some plugs. This is the actual Dante card. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set that aside, and we're going to move you guys over. And again, there's about 24 screws that you have to deal with. Excuse the noise, I'm moving the camera around. All around the board, on the top, the sides, and the bottom. And you're going to take that, and then this whole assembly is going to flip down like this. Okay? And we are going to locate this card here. So if you look here, this is the where the expansion card would normally sit, over here. And if we look, here is the main power supply, and then you can see that there's a little fan right here. So the side of the fan is where you want to go, and you're going to see here, just like on this card right here that we just took this guy out of, there's another connector just like it down here. And I'm gonna move the camera a little bit here, so excuse the motion sickness inducing movement. Okay. So now we're lined up. We have the card in hand, and you can see here that there is a side that has a sticker with some information on it, but the side that actually has the chips on it. So you want to have the chips up, and then you want to have this golden connector down here at the bottom. You want that facing you. So there is a ribbon cable down here. You want to be very careful to not touch the ribbon cable, because if you touch it or you bump it or you move it, you could risk damaging it or the connector and blah blah blah. It's very fragile. So anyway, we're going to take this. I'm going to reach around this cable right here. I'm going to use my two pointer fingers, and I'm going to hold the card just like this. Okay, and I'm going to try and fix the focus on this so it's not moving around on you guys. Okay, so the focus is not going to change now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get our fingers in here, and basically what's going to happen is there's these two little notches here, and you're going to use those to help push this card back in. So with it flipped up, with the card flipped up at a slight angle like this, you should be able to pull the card into this connector. Now it has to be on a slight angle like this. It can't be flat, because having it flat is actually the locked position. So we're going to bring this card as close to that connector as possible. You don't need to put a lot of force, just a little bit of force. And then you're going to take your finger and you're going to push it down until it locks into place. And you know it's locked into place correctly because let me see if I can get you guys a shot of this. And we need to focus. Am I not going to be able to focus? Okay, we're too close. Focusing. Okay, so there we go. So right there, if you look, the little tab where that cutout goes, and I'll show you on this other board that we have right here. Focusing. On this board right here, oh, I guess I'm just still too close. Okay, there we go. So these little cutouts right here are where they should just lock into the side of the board. And let me actually take the camera off the mount. Maybe that'll be easier. Okay. So, more light. It's just kind of hard to show. I'm just trying to make sure that everybody can see how it's supposed to look. So there we go. So now you can see how it's locked in there. So you could actually remove it again just by taking this, pulling that. You got to do it kind of at the same time, and I'm trying to do this one-handed. And see how it flips up like that? So again, you got to pull it all the way in, and avoiding this ribbon cable here. And you can see that all the golden connectors are buried into this connector here. So now, when I push that down, it locks into place and it stays down. Again, remember that all the connectors need to be inside this, those golden pins need to be inside this connector. So that's it. You have just installed Dante onto your Behringer wing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out like that. And we're going to close this up. Make sure that there's nothing, can't see. Make sure that there is no connectors that are going to get pinched. Nothing's going to get pinched in here when you're closing. And so when you're closing it, you want to just take a look and make sure that none of these wires are going to get pinched by this hinge here. Okay? So we're going to close that up, and there it is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one screw here, and I'm going to take my screwdriver, and you should really do this with a handheld screwdriver, but because I'm lazy and I'm going to be delicate with this, I'm just going to do that just like that. Put that one screw in there. Okay. I'm going to back you guys up here, tilt you up. I know this is an awful video, but this is only for educational purposes, and you should not do this. Okay, so there's the board there, and I'm going to grab a power cable. So here comes the power cable, and we're going to power this board up. Okay, so power has been applied. There we go. And I do not see the Dante icon. Interesting. So I wonder what happened. Let's see, setup. Internal module. So it does actually say Dante. Here, let me get you guys closer. I have not done this before. You guys are watching this in real time with me as well. So let's look here. So if we look, it says internal module, Dante, expansion card, none. That's because I didn't put the SD card, expansion card back in. So it does see that it's in there. However, if you look at a previous video that I made, it actually put a Dante icon right there, and it's not actually there now. So let's do this. Let's go to the routing, And let's go to, and it does show up as Dante. So it actually does show that it is there. So if we go there, there's all our Dante. So interestingly enough, if you put the expansion card in right where that little gap is right there, you would see a Dante icon. But if you put the card directly into the board, it doesn't actually show up there. That's very interesting. So maybe only cards. Let me put that SD card recorder back in. Give me 1 second here. So let's do this. Let's turn the board off. Okay. And I'm just going to slide this card back in, and I'm going to put the 2 screws on the card back in. Okay, I'm going to take my drill and I'm going to put this back in. Okay, so the SD card recorder has been installed. So now, let's see what we get. Now again, I am turning the power off to this. You should always turn the power off before you put in an expansion setup. Okay, so again, we're showing up as Dante, and if we look up here where that Dante icon was, we can see and we can select the SD card reader now. So it is showing up, so that's good. And let's go back to routing. So yeah, where that little gap was, that's where the SD card icon is now because I have that. So everything, it looks like there probably might be another sort of expansion thing that could go right here. I don't know. Anyway, so everything looks to be correct. And let's go back in here, and Dante does show. So now, if we look here in the routing, we actually have the W Live record and the Dante. Excellent. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the board to the network. So if you have one of these, on the back there are 2 network connectors. And let me get a Ethernet cable. I think I have one laying around right here. So I'm going to take this and plug in. So I just plugged into one of the Ethernet jacks. And I don't think this thing shows you any type of status. So right now with the remote, the network is on, it's on DHCP, but that should not matter because the Dante card is configurable separately from the board itself. So let's go into here. So I have the Dante control software. And now what I'm going to do, and it would help if you could actually see what I was doing. So what I'm going to do is right now, originally in a previous video that I made, the Dante control software was connected with a Ethernet cable directly to the board, to the Dante expansion. In this video, that the board is now connected with one of the 2 network connectors on the back, and now this laptop is going to be connected through Wi-Fi because I'm just using it for control. So if I go up here, I'm actually connected to the right network, but if you look at the bottom right here, there's a red where it says P and S. The P is red. So what we need to do is we need to click on that, and then we need to go into this menu right here that basically, and I can bring this a little closer for you guys, this declares what network controller or network card that you're going to be using. So originally I was using the built-in Ethernet network card, but now I'm going to be using the Wi-Fi card. So what I need to do is, for my primary, I'm going to switch this from EN0. I'm going to change that to EN1, and it's going to be different depending on what device you have. So now that I've changed this, my EN1 is actually for Wi-Fi. It's going to be different on your machine depending on what, if you're doing this on a desktop, laptop, Windows, Mac, whatever you have. and then I need to make sure that I hit OK. So I've got this set to Wi-Fi. You can see the Wi-Fi icon. Hit OK. And now you can see that this icon at the bottom here is turned green. And if you look there, ta-da! We have the Brooklyn card, and it works. Yay! And we're going to go into here, and we're going to go to status. And we can see here that we have a IP address. And the IP address is going to be the same as the network that I'm plugged into, which is the same as the control and the control and the Dante. Now I could show, if you guys want to watch this video a little bit longer, I can explain how to set it up differently, because what I'm going to do is there are two network connectors on the back of this board. There is the first and the second. The first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it connected to my primary network, which is going to be just for control for the board. The second connector, I'm going to set it up so that it's going to be for a Dante network in and of itself. So what you could do is to have two separate networks. You could actually have it where network 1 is on slot number 1, and that could be part of your regular network for all of your other production equipment. The second connector would be just for Dante. So you would take a network switch and you would only have Dante connected devices connected to that. Now, you can go in here and you can actually set up in network configurations. You can actually show if you want it to be set up as switched or redundant. I'm going to have it as switched because everything's going to be on just one network connector. And you can actually set up a static IP address here if you know about networking and why you would want to do a static versus dynamic. But that might not be necessary for most people. You probably would want it to be dynamic. So when this is going to be installed, it's going to have one of the network cards is going to be rest of the network, and then the second network connector is going to be just for the Dante. So anyway, that works. We have connectivity and control. I'm going to put all the screws back into this, and the card, I had actually updated the card to the latest software before I installed it. I don't think that would matter for most people. You should be able to update it just fine without it. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Again, this was just a educational video. Don't do this. Wink, wink. It's not that hard. So, all right, cool. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.